The honourable member from Foothills.
Last year, almost 6 million Ontarians visited a food bank, an increase of more than 40%, the highest single increase ever recorded. Clearly, this Prime Minister's carbon tax plan is not worth the cost. Conservatives have a common sense Bill 234 in the Senate which will reduce costs on farmers and make food more affordable for Canadians. But the Prime Minister is blocking this bill, forcing Canadians to food banks. Will the Liberal Minister of Agriculture do his job? Will he defend Canadian farmers, phone Liberal senators to support Bill C-234 to have this carve out for farmers and make food more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we understand that it is absolutely essential today to be investing in Canadians, to invest to support families and to invest in an economic plan for jobs and growth. That is why we are building housing, because we are focused on supply, supply, supply. That is why we have an economic plan which has made Canada the highest per capita foreign investment destination in the G7. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, the only thing that Conservatives know how to do is cut, cut, cut.
The honourable member from Foothills.
Well, it's good to see the Agriculture Minister stand up and defend Canadian farmers. But if the Finance Minister's plan for Canadians is to cut meals, cut their heat, well, mission accomplished. Your carbon tax plan is working extremely well. But a common-sense Conservative bill, C-234, will provide a carbon tax carve-out for farmers and make food more affordable for Canadians. But the Prime Minister, as Environment Minister, has promised if this bill passes, he will resign. So is that why the Environment Minister is bullying senators in the Senate to block 234? Because he wants to save his job rather than ensure Canadians can afford to feed themselves?
Hey, man, that's the Liberal mentality. Get re-elected, or try to, instead of doing what's best for Canadians.
The Honourable Minister for the Environment.
Conservatives are chanting something, and he muted the mic again.
The Honourable Minister from the Environment, starting from the top.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party of Canada should be ashamed of asking this question in this House after they directed their MPs to bully to bully senators who disagreed with them. One of them had to apologize for bullying some of his colleagues in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. They should be ashamed of themselves. We're not telling senators how to vote. They're doing it, and they're asking them to bully other senators, Mr. Speaker.
Another question from Lawrence. Come on, Lawrence. Come on, Lawrence, you're next.
The Honourable Member from Dufferin-Caledon.
After 8 years, Canadians know this Liberal Prime Minister isn't worth the cost. Over 800,000 Canadians visited a food bank over 6 million times. 41% for the first time ever. The first time ever they had to do it is after 8 years of a Liberal government. Now, that's not bad enough. If these 800,000 people formed a city, it would be the 4th largest city in Ontario, dependent upon feeding themselves at a food bank. This government could do something. Stop holding up Conservative Bill C-234 to take the carbon tax off farmers. Will they do it?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard directly from Canadian families who are struggling to buy buy groceries. And on this side of the House, our government continues to make investments to support families through difficult times, investments in affordable housing, investments in early learning and childcare, and the Canada Child Benefit. The Leader of the Opposition continues to oppose these supports. His common sense, Mr. Speaker, is nonsense. On this side of the House, we'll continue to do all that we can to support Canadian families.
The honourable member from Dufferin-Caledon.
A Liberal minister who gets almost $300,000 a year, drives around in a limo, says that it's nonsense to talk about the 800,000 Ontarians who went to a food bank for the first time. This kind of conduct from these Liberals is disgusting, and there's an answer, there's a fix. They could tell their senators to stop blocking Bill C-234, which will take the carbon tax off farmers. You know, the people that feed us. But no, they're not doing it because the delicate sensibilities of the Environment Minister, who says, I'll resign if there's any more cuts to the carbon tax. Will they take it off? Will they pass C-234?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, we have trouble putting the actual facts on the table from the leaders of the Conservative Party of Canada. When it comes to working with the Senate is independent. There's only one party that is directing senators, and that is the Conservative Party of Canada. And as a member of Parliament from Ontario, he should recall the common sense revolution that not only cut services to education, to healthcare, to water, that led to deaths in Walkerton, Mr. Speaker. Right. It was an absolute it was an absolute disaster. Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that their common sense is absolute nonsense. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There are many experienced members in this House on both sides who do know that when a colleague has the floor, that colleague should be the only person who should be speaking. I ask you please to keep your comments to yourselves until you have the opportunity to take the floor. The Honourable Député.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years under this Prime Minister...
Reminder, everybody, if you haven't yet, hit that like button.
...respect for a decision of the House of Commons. Bill C-234 was passed by a majority of us here. It's now in the Senate, but it's deadlocked. The Minister of the Environment is even filibustering and lobbying senators. Can the Prime Minister tell his minister to stop blocking the bill, respect the decision of the House, and let senators do their job and pass C-234? The Honourable Environment Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform my honourable colleague that there are no more Liberal senators. There are Conservative senators. But we have appointed independent senators ever since we took office in 2015. So anyone who works with the Senate knows that those senators are independent. We don't give them their marching orders. It's the Conservatives who whip their senators. And it's unacceptable the way they're bullying and intimidating other senators. It's scandalous. It's unacceptable. I'd like to remind the member from Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier to please refrain from speaking when someone else has been given the floor by the chair.
Or he'll mute you. Thanks for watching the video to the very end. If you'd like to subscribe, I've made it very easy. You can do so by clicking right there. If you'd like to watch another House of Commons highlight clip, you can do so by clicking right there. And if you'd like to subscribe to my main channel, Mistersunshinebaby, where it's all Canadian political news, then you can do so by tapping up there. Subscribing is absolutely free. There's a button down below that says subscribe. If you'd like to join and become a member and financially contribute, you could do so as well. Thank you so much for watching this video.